Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the podcast. So I'm really excited. I'm kind of doing like a little mini series right now that you guys didn't ask for, but here we fucking are. I have been asking you guys on Instagram to send me questions, things that you feel really stuck in, things that you're feeling really heavy around. And I got a ton of anonymous questions. You guys really prefer that. I think it's not even like weird questions. I just think there's something safe about being able to ask a question without tying your identity to it. But I've been answering a couple of these questions, and the one that we're going to talk about today, I'm going to share with you something that has absolutely changed my life in my business. And so I'm really excited to talk about that. But before that, I want to read the question to you because I want to know if any of you guys like relate to this. And then we're going to talk about a couple things. And I'm going to give you guys something that you can actually literally take action on today that will change the way that you operate and run in your business. So the question is, I do a lot of stop-start in my business, and it's just delaying success. Any advice and tips you can share? So there's two things that I want to talk about with this specific question. One is a mindset shift, and two is a actual like strategy implementation, go take action on this today shift. So let's start with the mindset shift, because I had a coaching call with my clients yesterday, and I actually was talking about this because I have a client and she's a web designer, and she's like, Ashley, all I do is I like go and I post and I don't get my result right away, and then I get pissed off, and then I stop, and then I basically like ramp back up, and I've been doing this for a year. I actually asked, there was like 4 or 5 women on this call, and I said, I want to ask you guys a question, and then this will help kind of change your mindset around starting and stopping and what this looks like. So I said, if you knew the 2 or 3 things that you had to do every day, probably getting in front of people, I'll talk about this a little bit more from the strategy side, getting in front of people, selling the people that are in front of you, and like supporting your clients, right? Probably the 3 things you have to kind of do every day in your business. If you knew that if you did those things every single day for the next 365 days, and then any of the dreams you have in your business, 100K months, sold out launches, booked out for a year, making 500K. I don't care what the goal is, right? I want you guys to think about this goal. If you knew that doing that every day for the next 365 days would inevitably allow you to be able to say first of next year that you have achieved all those things, right? So you do that all for 1 year, and it 100% would guarantee that you get exactly what you want in business. Would you stop and go, or would you 100% commit for the next 365 days? All of them were like, oh, well, if I knew that I was going to be successful, then of course I would do those things. And I said, okay, so if you are willing to do that thing, that tells me that if you're willing to give up a year of success to then have it inevitably moving forward, that means that you're meant to be an entrepreneur, because you are willing to give up the ability to guarantee success by just hustling and trusting the process. And that's a lot of what entrepreneurship is. And they're like, yeah, of course. Like, I know that that's just part of it. So I said, then why aren't you doing it? And they're like, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, the chance of me being successful, if I really, really, really commit, like, you're right. How am I not going to be successful? And I shared this with them, but I have now coached, again, 400, 500, so many different entrepreneurs in different stages, in different areas. I have never had a client that commits every day to the 2 or 3 things, which we're going to talk about in a second, the 2 or 3 things that you have to do every day to move your business forward, to inch it forward, to put it in a state of momentum. Like, literally think like a car, putting it in autopilot. You want to get your car to the point in autopilot. The problem is you guys are all fucking hopping in the car, turning it on, starting it, and the moment when you don't get from 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, fucking Rihanna, like the reason that you guys aren't doing that, the moment you do that, you like literally like turn off the car. Well, guess what? Then you have to like wake up in the morning, get in the car, do it again, ramp it up. Like, it's exhausting. And it also is not good for the car. Like, your machine is going to die quicker because you're not taking care of it and putting it in cruise control. There's a reason that like city driving and, highway driving, you get different gas mileage. It's better for the car to let it stay in kind of the same zone. So you as the business, you are the car. You are that engine. It is better for you to put it in a slower, intentional burn and put it in cruise control than to get up, go 3 blocks, do it again. You're going to get more out of it. It's the same thing with your fucking business. It's literally the same analogy for your fucking business. And so it's interesting when I hear from entrepreneurs that they start and stop, because what that actually tells me is that you don't have a process or a system where you know what you need to be doing every single day. And instead, you're just throwing shit at the wall, hoping it works. And then when it doesn't, you get frustrated and you just basically say, like, I'm going to refigure this out. And then your strategy has to change and you get in your head. And that's why so many business owners get capped. And so one of the things that we've been implementing in our business, we technically do this process in more like a 30 to 60 minutes a day. But one of the things that we've started to implement is what we call the 90-minute daily non-negotiable list. And what this is, it's the 2 or 3 things, probably 3, I'm going to explain what they are, the 3 things that you need to be doing every day in your business to always be putting it moving forward. Basically, in the analogy, putting it on highway driving in cruise control where your business is optimized, it's always moving forward, and it's going to get you the best results as quickly as and intentionally as possible, right? Which is what all of you guys want. And so when you think about your day, obviously in a business, doesn't matter if you're done for you, coaching, you sell courses, digital products, doesn't matter. You'll have a couple things that just have to come in the day, right? Like if I'm looking at a Tuesday, I'm going to have a coaching call at 1 o'clock with my DBM mastermind. Cool. Outside of that though, and maybe, some other stuff, what do I need to do to move my business forward? Because hopping on that call, yes, is moving my business forward, but if I don't have a call that day, what do I need to be doing? There's usually 3 things you need to be doing every day, and they're going to fall in what we call our momentum pillars. So if you are a headquarters client right now, you know that all we focus on is mastering these 3 pillars and putting basically your business into that cruise control, which can get you to $10, $20, $30, $50,000 months very easily. And so those 3 pillars of momentum are your authority, so marketing, getting in front of people, your visibility, authority, conversion, which is sales, your ability to sell, your ability to handle objections, your ability to close quickly, and delivery, which is your ability to support clients and keep them in a state of intentionality and keeping wanting to go more and going depth and re-signs and all that kind of stuff, right? So those 3 pillars are kind of our 3 pillars of momentum. If they're the 3 pillars of momentum, that also means that they're the 3 pillars that need to be optimized and utilized every single day to keep your business in momentum, right? All 3 are very, very intentional. Now, what those 3 look like might alter a little bit every single day, but the bare bones of putting those 3 pieces, I'm like such a visual person, I'm like touching my fucking dirty ass fingers, but those 3 things need to be moved forward every single day. So what do I mean by that? Just to put this in perspective. I look at my business and I look at action items within my business based on how much control I have in the process. Because for me, I am one of those people where I want to put things in place and get things going that are the easiest for me first to kind of knock those out. Because the more momentum I give myself, because those people have checklists and they write something down that they've already done just to check it off. I operate that way. I like to be able to say, let me get things going, because the more that I accomplish, the easier for me to accomplish the other items. Now, if you're the opposite, you can do it the opposite way, but I will say, even for my clients who are I want to eat the frog and I want to optimize the thing that I don't want to do first, this still works very well with them, or very well for them. But what I do is I actually go backwards from delivery to sales to authority, and I want to explain why. Current clients and supporting current clients are always easier than marketing, right? Answering a client question, answering an email. Typically, those things are easiest because you have the most control. They're people you already know how they operate, you already know how they need to be responded to, always the easiest. So in the morning, when I start my morning, the first 90 minutes, usually now 60 because I've gotten this down to a T, the first 90 minutes, I do those 3 action items that fall under those 3 pillars of momentum. 1 for delivery, 1 for sales, 1 for marketing. So let me explain what that means. The first thing I do, delivery, is I go in and I support my clients. Now, this does not mean going and doing a marketing process for a client. That's not what's going to get them a momentum. That's an action item that needs to be scheduled in the week. I'm talking about responding to a client, responding to Slack messages, telling a client that you're going to get back to them later today. Anything that needs to be done that just gets the client being I got you, you're good. Moving them forward, right? So for a client that asks a question about a sales process, maybe they're saying, hey, Ashley, I'm in the middle of the sales process. This client asked a really weird question. What would you do, where I need some help here? That might take me a minute to respond. Great, that would happen in the morning. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to respond because now I've moved the action item from me to them. So the idea is I want you to imagine the action item of the response or the help or the whatever. It's like a ball and we're playing tennis. The client sent it to me. I want to hit it back in their court. I want my court to be empty is kind of the idea by the end of those 90 minutes, just for an analogy for you guys. I love my analogies. So they've hit the ball to me. I'm hitting it back to them. Great. Now they're good. Check. Then another client might say, hey, blah, blah, blah. And they might send me 5 messages. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, client, I see this. I'll probably get back to this by end of day. Great. Ball's not technically over back in their court yet, but it's off to the sidelines. It's still emptied my court kind of thing. So now I've answered all my clients. I have 70 clients right now, or 60 to 70. I literally answer all of my clients. Again, not everyone messages me every day. It's all done in about 10, 15 minutes. So I'm usually getting ready in the morning, sometimes responding. I'm emails. Obviously, I'm very blessed. I have my assistant, Lexi, so she'll handle emails, but we get maybe 2 emails a week. So like, it's not a big deal. But like any of that kind of stuff. So anytime a client's like sending you over, you just want to get them like back over in momentum mode. So it's either, hey, I'll get back to you today, AKA if it's a big project that the client needs you to tackle, you might be like, awesome, I'm looking at my calendar, I have an hour at 3:00, I'm gonna schedule them in. So anything that requires like extensive time, you're then gonna take that item and just put it in your schedule for later. So top priorities might happen that afternoon, less important priorities might happen like Thursday at 2. Like if the client's like, I'm really struggling, blah, 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 I might be like, okay, this is gonna take all day for me to tackle, so why don't I schedule it on Thursday, because we can like intentionally tackle it together. So again, I'm getting all these balls out of my court. Now delivery, all my clients are momentum. So that's the first checkbox. The second thing is sales. So sales, you have the second most amount of control, because these are hot leads. These are people who are, wanting to work with you. These are people who are already having conversations. They've already like checked you out. Like anyone that's in the sales process, again, I want to move the ball from my court to theirs. So maybe you were messaging someone last night and they were asking a question about working with you, and you're like working on trying to figure out the offer that's best for them, right? They've now messaged you back. Again, ball is now in my court. I want to hit it back into their tennis court, and I'm going to move that over to them. So now they're in a state where then I'm waiting for them to respond. Now sales, I will say, I'm a salesperson at heart. I will naturally throughout the day respond to people. So I kind of leave space within my day to even within calls, I always leave 30 minutes between them to answer quick sales stuff. But at least all the messages that I've had, or anyone who's in the sales process, I handle in the morning. The other thing that I handle in the sales part of my morning is re-signs. So if Lexi sends me a message and says, hey, Ashley, this person is at the end of the thing, I might be like, oh, let me message that client real quick and be like, hey, client, just also wanted to let you know we're coming about the halfway mark. Don't know if you saw our promo or don't, blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts on re-signs? So again, anything sales related, I literally just kind of get ball of my court. Sometimes with re-signs or other things, I might, again, schedule that for later. But I'm pretty much getting sales conversations in momentum. So delivery, sales. Sometimes you guys might not have sales conversations, so then that's a quick checkbox. You don't have any follow-up. So delivery is now good. Again, I start my morning at 9 a.m., so all by 10:30, this is all done, or usually by 10 a.m. So delivery is done, 10, 15 minutes. Sales, 10, 15 minutes. Now we go into marketing. So I will say our actual daily posts are always pre-scheduled. So for me, the post that is going out, that is already pre-scheduled. I do that on Monday, usually the week prior. So that's already a checkbox as far as that. But for me, marketing is selling. Marketing is sharing that conviction. I just did an episode about conviction. That's a really good one that we'll tag below. But getting out your ability to make people feel something. And although a post is great on Instagram or whatever else, the thing that's going to convert someone, the thing that's going to bring someone into the sales process, again, thinking about these pillars of momentum, is a story series, right? Or an email or something where you're directly speaking to that person that makes them want to move. So again, the post is good, but usually if someone's going to go watch your post, they're then going to go in stories. So then my last action item under these 3 action items is selling on stories. So going in, talking about, my client results, talking about our process, talking about questions that I've been receiving. And again, a story series takes 10 or 15 minutes. So now it's 10 a.m. Every client is in momentum mode. I've responded to every client. Again, if your clients are taking up more than 10 or 15 minutes to get them in a good spot, that is a delivery issue. That's a whole conversation for another day. All my clients are responded to in 10, 15 minutes. Now it's 9:15. I'm responding to sales conversations or finalizing that, depending on the day, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Now I'm doing my story series and potentially also, doing a quick poll or whatever else, just selling to my audience in a marketing capacity. And that's done in 10, 15 minutes. So now it's 10 o'clock and my business has been pushed forward in the 3 areas that are constantly getting my business to move farther along. And so that's how I want you guys to look at your business. This is literally something that I've never really been taught or trained. I've always been talked about what are your priorities? What do you prioritize? What do you look at? And I've had a lot of incredible coaches that have given me tips on how to structure my week and how to structure, prioritization as far as in overall areas of the business. But I really thought about when people are how do you work so little? How do you do this? I'm because there's days where after those 3 things are done, I don't do anything. So if my clients are good, if I don't have any client projects and my marketing's crushing and I'm having a good week. An example would be today outside of podcasts, which is a different brand. I did those 3 things by 9:30 this morning and my day is done. Because again, I got my business in a good spot. Sometimes, again, clients might ask something where, you need to come back to it, or it's a project or it's something to review. What I do then is after those 3 things are done or during that time, I again will schedule those priorities for later in the week. So now I'm looking at my week. Again, depending on if it's an A or B week, it's a little bit different. If you guys need help with that process, let me know. I'll send you the podcast on that. But I'll look at, my week and I'll say, oh my gosh, Wednesday's completely open. Awesome. I'm going to work on client reviews, blah, blah, blah. And I'll kind of then take a theme day that already has those items and I'll add in a client call, or I'll add in scheduled time, or I'll do it later in the afternoon. Or if I don't have calls right after those 3 things are done, then I'll do it. I never, ever, ever, if it's going to take me more than 3 or 4 minutes to respond to a client, I never do it during that first 90 minutes. There is nothing, I don't care any of you guys, unless you are having people doing open heart surgery. I don't think any of you guys are doctors like that. And if you are, welcome to the podcast. I'm not really speaking to you. Your job is completely different than what I'm talking about. Nothing's that urgent. So even if a client has a 10 or 15-minute question, I will then say, hey, client, I have some time later this morning. I want to give some intentional response back. I'll get back to you here pretty soon. I then check that off and I move on to all the other clients, get them all in momentum before I even come back to that. So again, if you're a business owner and you want to optimize your time and you don't want to be in this start and stop, I highly recommend, and even if you're a corporate individual, right? Same thing. What are the 3 or 4 things that put you in a good state where you're feeling moving forward? Maybe not for your job, potentially for your job. You can use this in the first hour, 90 minutes of your day in your personal life, right? Can you apply this to your personal life? Where it's I take my walk, I listen to my podcast, whatever your items are. But for a business owner, if you are looking to scale, those are the 3 things that move your business forward. So if you're struggling to feeling like you're start and stop, it's because you're probably usually prioritizing things outside of those 3 buckets. And at the end of the day, if you are always doing those 3 things, it's kind of hard for you not to be successful. Truly, truly, truly. Now, the strategy behind how you do delivery and respond to clients and support clients, sure, can be revised. Your sales strategy, of course, we can tighten that up so you're not taking as long to sell, sure. And then, of course, marketing, if you're not getting leads, then there's a gap in your marketing. We can tighten up that. But I've never to this day had a client who actually did those 3 things every single day after 3 or 4 months who did not have massive success. It just doesn't happen. So I want to give you guys permission to eliminate all the heaviness that you've been feeling about the start and go of your business and just say, moving forward, every single day, I'm going to do the things that I know my business is never not in motion. And if you can actually do that intentionally in 90 days when your business has doubled or tripled or 5x, send me a message and let me know that that happened, because it's just proof in the fucking pudding yet again that your habits are a reflection of your ability to have success. What you're doing consistently is going to show you what success is going to look like. And a lot of the times business, people think the fun stuff is what moves the needle. It's the mundane shit that you do every single day that makes you a 7-figure business owner, a multiple 7-figure earner, a 100K per month business, whatever you are looking at wanting to achieve. It literally is not in the branding, the website, the logo, the price. Those things are all additional strategy things that allows the momentum to be optimized while also the structure around it to help your business continuously move forward. So that's how we scale businesses. This is literally the secret to my success. And I just hope that this podcast episode is motivating and exciting and inspiring to you guys to really realize that you can have so much incredible thing, just the amount of money and success you can have as a business owner. It's genuinely wild that you can really write your life the way you want, but it's going to come with discipline. And if you can discipline yourself in the things that are actually going to give you the ROI you're looking for, literally your success is inevitable. So I hope that this episode is exciting and helpful for you guys. It's very much a tactical thing that I want you guys to go implement. If it's helpful for you too, if you've never heard this, maybe you're new to following me or my business, please, 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 please send me a message and let me know if you implemented this, how you're feeling about it. If you have questions on the tactical pieces, I tried to go into a little bit of what we actually do, but I'm happy to audit your process or talk through it if it's helpful. So until then, I will see you guys next week, and hopefully I will chat with all of you guys soon. Bye.